Hello everybody, and welcome to my beta 11_02 world. It has been a little bit since I have made a video in this world. I have just been quite busy with some stuff going on. I had to house sit, and then I am getting ready to go on vacation actually. But for now, I figured I would just kind of wind down before I have to get all my stuff ready for vacation and play a little bit of my beta world. Now, I am currently chopping down some trees over here on this side of my home base area. I have a big plan to put a nice structure over here. Now, it's gonna be kind of a grind, and I know I have a couple things that are unfinished, especially with the storage building and the quarry, but I wanted to switch my gears a little bit and start working on something else. I recently have gotten into old computers and kind of playing older games and stuff like that, old operating systems, kind of buying and restoring old computer hardware. I don't know. It's a hobby that I've kind of taken up recently that I enjoy doing. But I had this idea to make this kind of building where I could make like an old computer store. And it might sound a little goofy, but I think that it'd be a pretty cool build. Now, the outside of the build, I kind of want to base off this house that is located kind of near me. I've always loved this house just for the look of it. It's just, I just love the architecture on the outside, and I really enjoy, it's kind of got like a almost Asian style of building, especially with the roof. It looks very kind of Japanese style of architecture. But I made a build in a test world. I don't really do that very much. I kind of like to just design. I just like to design mostly in my head and let it flow and kind of do things naturally instead of having a based thing. I always find that it kind of gives me a little more creativity when I'm just going off the whim. But this, I really wanted to incorporate some building techniques in and a couple new blocks. Specifically, I wanted to build with obsidian. I've never built with obsidian. In all the years that I've played Minecraft, I've never built with obsidian at all. So I wanted to give it a try, and I thought that this build would be perfect for that. Now, like I said, I have a test world that I was kind of messing around with stuff to try to see what works and what didn't. I knew that I'd be working with obsidian, so I kind of wanted to have a little bit of an idea going in rather than just off the whim. Especially when obsidian in this version takes about 15 seconds to mine. So like I said, this project is a little bit of a big one. Not for just the size, but for the materials that I'm going to be working with. Like I said, obsidian takes an unusually long amount to mine in this version. Actually, you know what? Let me show you. So for instance, if you take this block of obsidian and you place it down, it takes about 15 whole seconds to mine just one single block. See, that wasn't sped up or anything. It genuinely takes that long to mine. So, not only is obtaining a lot of obsidian kind of time-consuming and tedious, it also makes the building process just a tad bit harder, considering the fact that if you place one wrong block, it takes 15 seconds just to get that block taken away. So, I like to have some kind of outline. As you can see, I got a decent amount the other day. This is not going to be nowhere near as much as what I'm going to need for this build, but this is a good start. But I think over here is going to be kind of a good spot to place this. It's not a really insanely big build, but I figured over here is kind of empty. It's just forest. I've built more that way, and obviously this right here is my whole home base area. But I thought over here could be in need of some modernization. So this is where I want to build it. One thing that I am a little bit upset about is the fact that none of this land is really super flat. You know, over here it's kind of very hilly, and same thing over here. But I do think that I will take at least one layer of this down just to have a little bit more of a flat surface to build on. It is very early morning while I'm recording this video, so I am currently drinking a little bit of my coffee. I just woke up probably about 45 minutes ago. I made myself a little bit of breakfast, some bacon and eggs, very simple, with a little bit of cottage cheese on it, and I'm drinking my morning coffee. Very tasty. Now, I do think that I want to have the entrance kind of main facade area to be facing this way, just because I think if it went this way, it would kind of hinder any more progression that way, and I want everything to kind of flow naturally. I think I'll put a couple more builds over here, kind of work this area up a little bit more, but this is gonna be pretty much the first main build of this area. Now, I don't entirely know why I really wanted to build like a computer shop. I just think it's because I really recently got into old computers a lot, and I just thought it would make kind of for a cool build. I am not entirely sure what I'm gonna make like the computers out of. I haven't really thought that through yet, but I'd figured I'd rather get the building done and then worry about the inside. I kind of like to build from the outside in, and I think a lot of people feel the same way. I think this is a good start. I want to go this way a little bit more. Just have to place some torches around here. Now, something interesting that I thought I would mention is that I thought all the tools' durability in this version were the exact same, which I think is the case when it comes to everything but diamond gear. I believe stone and iron mine at the exact same pace and will break at the same exact durability as each other. But what I've noticed after making this diamond pickaxe, I mined pretty much a stack and a little bit over of obsidian, and it's still pretty much completely unfazed, untouched. So that's kind of something interesting. Maybe if I acquire any more diamonds, it would be in my best interest to make iron tools, but I still find that making stone tools is kind of the best materials wise. Obviously, I have to make a lot of them, but both stone and wood are pretty renewable. So I think for now, I'm going to stick with the stone tools. Getting pretty nervous out here. Don't ever like when the sun goes down. Man, I just love this boat elevator. Very convenient and fun to use. Now, like I was saying, in a few days I am going to be going on vacation, and I'm very excited. It's a much needed time off. I am going to Hilton Head. It is actually not my first time being there. I was there many years ago. I went with my family. This time I'm going with my girlfriend and her family, so I'm very excited for that. It's kind of much needed time for both of us to wind down and really enjoy ourselves. I feel like lately we've both been non-stop, and I think that's half the reason why I haven't had too much time to make a video and upload, is because that I've been working non-stop, and I have to get ready for this vacation. We got our first fight. Ooh. But like I was saying, this vacation I feel is very much needed. It's gonna be some nice time off. Like non-stop, I've just been stressed about things going on. Look at how black this is. It's gonna be hard to see when I have to build at night. Now this whole building is gonna be 1 block high. I'll have a step going into it. I just like to be able to see the full outline of the obsidian. That's gonna be the entrance. Now, this build is going to mainly consist of stone and obsidian, and a bit of glass for some windows. But kind of going back to the topic of being on this vacation, like I was saying, it's definitely a much needed trip where I can just decompress and really shut my brain off and not have to worry about things. I feel like lately I don't get very many opportunities to wind down and de-stress as much as I would like to. And I think I'm really going to take advantage of that with this vacation. I've been trying to find a few books to bring and read. Like I was saying, I've been trying to kind of start reading more, and I think it's a lot better for my brain than to doom scroll on my phone. And especially since I'm on vacation, I want to be able to relax and not stress myself out with technology. See, I already messed up. I'm supposed to have another layer of obsidian right here. So, here we go. Hopefully I don't do this very much. There we go, fixed that. This building also has some pillars out front with little columns kind of going across. In real life, the wood is like red, but unfortunately in this version, there is no red wood. So I'm just gonna be using normal oak planks for this. So like this is how it's supposed to be. Yeah, kind of on the topic of vacation, that just leads me to ask you guys, are any of you guys going on vacation? Or have you guys gone already? Please let me know if you have and where you guys went. I would love to kind of get to see where everyone went and if anyone went to any place kind of cool. I don't know. I always love hearing about people's vacation experiences, especially when people go to a certain place for the first time. I think that's always really fun to hear about. Now, on this side, I do have a little bit of kind of like an outdoor patio, so I'm gonna try to build that really fast. It has these pillars too on the outside. But all of this is gonna be surrounded in glass. And here's the doorway going into the building. Now, kind of like I was mentioning briefly at the beginning of this video, this house is loosely based off a house that is kind of local. And I drive past this house quite a bit, and it's one of those things that every time I see it, it kind of makes me really happy. I really wish that I could one day have it, but obviously I won't get to that level. But I looked up pictures of the house, obviously for references to be able to build it, and the interior is just as cool as the exterior. It's actually very cool. Now, the last part that you had just seen was recorded a few weeks ago, actually, right before I left to go on vacation. So it has been a while, but I'm glad to be back. Obviously, the last thing that we were working on in this world is the start of this, like, computer shop type build. It's more or less me just wanting to recreate a house that I'm very fond of in real life, but I figured I'd add a little bit of an extra twist to it and make it a vintage computer shop. But as you can see, I'm using a lot of obsidian for this build. I've never used it before, and I'm out. And now, if you know anything about old Minecraft, you know that obsidian takes a while to mine. So I do think that since it's been a while, I want to switch gears a little bit and work on something else. I have a lot of unfinished projects in this world. I'm noticing that. I have a lot of things that I have that I want to get done, but I always start things and never complete them. I guess it's a way for me to not get bored and constantly have something to work on, but I think it'd be nice to finish a project. So I think for now, I want to switch gears and I want to build something else. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know this, but in older Minecraft, while mining for ores, if you were mining in positive coordinates, you had a better chance of yielding more ore and other items. But I've noticed that my little strip mine is in a negative positive quadrant of the world, and I think that I want to make a little mining outpost, I guess, in positive coordinates. Now, that way is the positive quadrant of my world. Now, you might also be saying, why would I build a quarry over here when it is in the wrong quadrant? This quarry I only want to be used to gain materials such as cobblestone and dirt. I really don't want to use it to gain ores or anything like that. It's a nice little added benefit of having the quarry, but the main use is just getting a lot of material for builds that I want to complete throughout this world. But I think I want to change this and create a mining outpost somewhere, not very far, but somewhere over in the positive quadrant of the world. Now, I do apologize if this video kind of seems a little all over the place. I recorded that first segment, like I said, a few weeks ago, and I really don't remember too much of what I got done. I think I was just mostly in vacation mode, and I really just put everything off. But it's nice to kind of take a break, and now we can come back and relax a little bit. Now, I do think that I want this entire build to be a kind of a wooden build. I think I build a little too much with stone as is, but I want it to be kind of like a little house. I'm not too sure what I want to do with the design just yet, but I think I want it to be kind of a basic house. I do need to collect a decent amount of materials. Like I said, it's not very far to get to the positive quadrants of my world, but I don't want to make too many trips coming back. I eventually am going to extend a minecart rail over there, but I really don't know how I want to do it. But for now, I'm fine with just walking. Now, I am going to collect a little bit more wood to be able to take over there, and we should be all set to go. I'm going to use the boat elevator. It's always very fun to use. One of my favorite old features in Minecraft. Now, it has been a while since my last video. It's been a couple weeks, and I don't like being away this long. This is the longest break that I've taken on this channel, and I really don't want to do that anymore, unless I really have no choice. The past couple weeks have been pretty busy for me. I was gone for a whole week house sitting, and then right after that, I had a week back, and then I would leave to go on vacation. And just in between that, I had just no time to record. House sitting, I wasn't able to bring, my computer and stuff like that. There's no point. And I guess it was a nice, much-needed, relaxing downtime, especially before my vacation. Obviously, I brought my laptop over to the house just to use to watch like Netflix and stuff like that, even though they had TVs. I used it really just kind of watch YouTube and stuff like that. But I mainly read when I was over there. Like I said, I've been really wanting to get into reading a lot more, and I think that it was a great opportunity to kind of do so and get that a little bit kickstarted. I started reading a Stephen King book. It's called The Bazaar of Bad Dreams, and it's kind of just a collection of stories, short stories that weren't able to be turned into full books. If you know kind of anything about Stephen King, a lot of his stories come from him being on either drugs or having nightmares and kind of writing what he dreamt about, and that's pretty much what the book is. It's just a collection of nightmares, hence why it's called Bad Dreams, The Bazaar of Bad Dreams. But like I said, it's a little short story. I think the longest short story in there is like 50 pages. Everything else is kind of shorter, and some of them are very random, but I do find them interesting and fascinating to read, especially when I do like Stephen King's work. One of my favorite stories by him has to be Dr. Sleep. It's one of my all-time favorites. I just love the story. And I think it's a great follow-up to The Shining. If you've ever even heard of The Shining, it's another kind of horror book that was turned into a movie. It was made with Jack Nicholson. It came out in the 80s, and it was a very good movie. A few years back, they made a Dr. Sleep movie with Ewan McGregor. And if you don't know who that is, if you've ever seen Star Wars, he played Obi-Wan It's kind of infamous for playing Obi-Wan in the prequel trilogy. But anyways, it's so far a very good read. I took it on vacation with me, and honestly, I'm not really too happy with my progress. I feel like I should be farther. Anytime I had nothing to do, I would just read. I read the majority of it while I was on vacation, kind of just sitting out on the beach or by the pool. But so far, I've really enjoyed it. I'm starting to look for more books to read. I want more. Like I said, it's a thing that I don't want to kind of stray away from anymore. I've never been a big fan of reading, even when I was in like grade school and stuff like that, and even throughout high school. I've always just had a very big disinterest in reading. But I think recently I've just wanted to kind of try to broaden my horizons and try new things. I think lately too, that's been a big thing that I've been on, is kind of like a self-improvement. I wouldn't want to call it a phase, but just more of like, I want to improve myself as a person. I've never particularly been a bad person. I've always been a good person, but there's definitely things about myself that I think that I could better upon. I think as humans, we all have stuff that we can improve on and do better. And like I've talked about previously, I'm not one to kind of preach stuff, especially when I'm so young. You know, I'm not the wisest, but I do like talking about the stuff that I'm going through, more for the fact that there may be other people going through the same thing who watch my videos, and I want to give this like a safe space to kind of wind down and not have to worry about things, and know that you're not always alone when you go through some things, you know? Not everyone's gonna know what certain experiences are like. I think this is plenty of wood. But anyways, I've been trying to better myself a lot recently, and I think reading is kind of the one thing that I think is going to help with that, just because it helps exercise your brain in a different way than anything else could. You know, instead of doom scrolling, or even playing Minecraft, which I like to do to unwind, I think it helps relax yourself a lot more and really get you thinking about things that you normally would never even process if you weren't reading a book. I am gonna bring some food with me. I think I'm gonna cook up a couple more pork chops. I don't ever like walking at night. I just get so creeped out. There's lots of monsters are out right now. Man, I've said it before, but I'm gonna say it again. I feel like this version is just so dark. That scared the crap out of me. I didn't expect him to be there. But anyways, like I was saying, I just feel like this version specifically is just very dark. Old Minecraft has always been very dark, considering the fact that there was no brightness. And I think that's something that always added a little charm to the game, is that you really never knew what was behind each corner. But I feel like this version, specifically of beta, is so very dark. I always find myself squinting, having to walk through at night. And like I said, I don't really necessarily have a problem with torch spam. I think that's another thing I like about old Minecraft, but I think I have to constantly spam torches around my area just to be able to see at night. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed this, or if you guys play this version of beta, but I just think it's very dark. We have a couple chunks to go until we are officially in a positive quadrant. We are officially in a positive section of the world. Now, I want to go a couple, maybe a chunk or two this way. So I steer clear of the border over here where it's negative. And I think as long as if we strip mine this way or either way, this way or that way, we should be pretty safe from going back into the negative coordinates. And like I said, unless you're mining directly in negative coordinates, you're really gonna obtain a decent amount of ore, but I just want to keep myself in positive quadrants just so I can get the most ore that I can. Now, I do think right here is where I want to build this mining outpost. It's kind of the flattest area around here. Now, like I said, I want this outline of this house to be just kind of like a basic wooden house. Just something that's very old Minecraft-esque, I guess you could say. Just to kind of break up from all the builds that I've done with stone. Alright, Alright, I think this is a pretty good start on the outline for this. I'm not sure how far back I want this to go just yet. I think I want this section to be a little bit longer because, like I said, this is going to lead down to a strip mine. So I think I only want this to go just a little bit farther back. Alright, this seems a little weird, but I think I like where this is going. Now, kind of going back on the topic of being on vacation, it's one of the few things that I'm really happy I was able to do lately. Especially because I was able to go on this vacation with my girlfriend. Already, I feel like we do spend a decent amount of time together, but I feel like this vacation was much needed. Not only for the both of us just to kind of relax and unwind, but just to be able to enjoy that time together. Like I said, we do spend a decent amount of time together, but I feel like it is a lot better to be able to see each other that much. Just being able to spend every day together and kind of wake up and do our own thing. I think it's something that we both have wanted to do for quite some time, but it's just with everything going on in our lives, we really don't ever have the opportunity to do so. So I think this was very much needed for the both of us. Now, the place that we went to is Hilton Head. I've been there once before, but I was much younger. I think the last time I went, I had to be like around 8. I actually really can't remember how old I was. It was a long time ago. But my girlfriend goes with her family every year, and this time she decided to bring me along with her, and I'm very happy that she did. We did a lot of very fun things. I think my favorite part was just all the food that I was eating. I had a lot of great food. I'm really a big fan of seafood. And a lot of people call me crazy, but I'm a big fan of raw oysters. I love oysters. Everyone makes fun of me. All my friends make fun of me for liking them, but I do really enjoy them. And it's definitely an acquired taste. But it's one of the very few foods that I find that I can only eat when I'm on vacation or somewhere where I'm not home. But I did really enjoy it. We got a little friend that wants to say hello. Ooh! Oh! That really didn't go too well. Oh God. Well, there goes pretty much all the food supply. This is why I don't like building at night. Maybe this one will go a little bit better. Yeah. Got some free dirt, though. Now, I do think on the outside right here, I want to have a little bit of an overhang. Just right here. Add a little bit more detail. Ooh. Now, I do think that I want to have chests all on these sides, just so I could have storage for any kind of cobblestone or ores that I collect. I want to keep some stuff here. Like, anytime I build any place, I want to at least have some materials stocked up there. Especially when it's not super far, but a decent way away from the main base. Right here is where I do believe that I want it to go down to the strip mine. I'm not too sure how I want to do this roof yet. There's so many monsters outside. I've been killing them through here. I just can't hit him the right way. Now, this is kind of the outline for the chest that I want to have. I'm going to have them on this side, too. I also think that I am going to do a row of like crafting tables and furnaces here, so if I want to smell anything I can. Now, I do wonder if I can place a fence post in between these. Yes, I can, and I can still open the chest. I think that'll add for some better detail. Now, I do think I want the top to come up just a little bit, just so I can have a window placed all the way up here. Man, there's a bunch of monsters around here. All right, I think I'm just gonna fill this in with cobblestone, honestly, and just have it overhang just a little bit. Add a little bit of detail. I'm gonna have to light up this roof though, so nothing spawns. It is very flat up here. Alright, like I said, it's very simple, but I really like the way that looks. I think up here I'll have a little bit of a sloped roof, just to add a little bit more difference, so it's not completely flat. But I'm really liking the way this is turning out. Add a torch right here, and one right here. I'm gonna place some torches up here. Hopefully this is enough to keep it lit up and nothing spawning. If not, I'm gonna have a big nightmare on my hands. But this should be enough. Alright, that's pretty much the completed outside of this little mining base. It's very simple, but like I said, I wanted to have this kind of be like old Minecraft-esque type buildings. I don't want to do something too insanely detailed for it, but I think that this is just enough. Like I said, even with placing all these torches, it's still insanely dark in here. Now I'm just gonna fill this side in with chests. Now, I do think this is pretty much completed. Now, there's a couple like small little details that I want to put in here and throughout the outside, but I think for now I'm going to leave it as is because I'm pretty happy with how this has turned out. Now we finally have a mining base in positive quadrants. It's about time. So hopefully this can get me enough resources because like I said, I really want to start working on minecart trails going from different parts of my world to others. There's other ways to travel besides minecarts, like using boats, and I do think I want to eventually kind of experiment with using some boats. But for now, I really do think that this will help me gain a lot more material than I would over at the main base. I think too, I'm gonna add a little bit more detail. I want to put some ladders in some places just to add a little bit of extra detail. I also managed to get a jar mod that allows me to get 4 ladders back instead of just 1. Finally. It's taken me forever to finally track down one and figure it out. But now my life is made just a little bit easier. Now, I do think, unfortunately, I'm going to move these torches because I want to place these, I want to say here, just to add a little bit of detail for this area. I'm going to do the same on all sides. Place a torch there, place a torch there, and I think I'll place them on each side of the ladder. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of torch spam, but I swear this version's just extremely dark. I'm not sure what it is. I also did want to quickly mention that I have been Steve for a while. I don't know if any of you guys have noticed, but my skin has been stuck on Steve for a while. Every once in a while, I'll mess with my Wi-Fi a little bit, and it's been working, but I haven't been able to get my skin to work since then, so not sure why it's not working, but it's not that big of a deal for me. I don't mind being Steve, you know? It's kind of fun to go back to the classic skin every once in a while, especially this version of Steve. I think, in my opinion, this is the best version of the skin Steve. I know a lot of people like the one with the beard, but I think this one right here is just perfect. Chef's kiss. Hey, get out of here. This is my fort. Gotta make a few more stairs. Whoa, got some friends outside the door. Now, there is a trick in older Minecraft versions where you can hit right through the door. It's kind of neat. I never knew you could do this until like maybe a few months ago. But with some older versions of beta, and especially alpha, you're able to hit directly through the door windows. And I think that's cool. I think that's a feature that should probably be brought back. I think it just makes sense. Because like there's holes right here, you know, you should be able to get right through them. But you also got to be careful you don't hit the bottom and accidentally open the door. Dang, there's so many creepers out here. Maybe I'm gonna kind of fill this in just a little bit. Now, the next thing I want to do, I want to get some flowers just to kind of put on the outside as decoration. I can see a rose over here. I want to get 2 roses to place. I like the dandelions or the yellow flowers. They are kind of very classic Minecraft flowers, but I really prefer the roses. I've always loved the roses, and I was really upset when they changed them. I forget what update that was. Was it 1.7? Release 1.7? It was something like that. Oh, look. Here's a little clay. But I remember when they changed it, I was very upset because I think, what did they change it to? The poppy? Or something like that? I forget which flower they changed it to, but I remember I was very upset when they made that change. I don't know. I do like all the flower additions in modern Minecraft. I like flowers. I think something about flowers is very just kind of calming and special, you know, nature's beauty. So in modern Minecraft, I'm glad we have all the different variations. That's one thing that I do wish that was in older Minecraft. But I'm fine with the rose and the dandelion. I think that's what it is. Hold on. I kind of have to double check myself on that. No, it's just called a flower. All right, well, like I said, you know, old Minecraft is very weird. I'm almost positive this is a dandelion. There's no way. It's just called a flower. It's just called a flower. I'm pretty sure a rose is called a rose, right? Hold on, there's one over here. Okay, it's called a rose. I thought I was going crazy for a second. I was like, there's no way that they're not named. So I guess this is just a flower. But, I mean, just look at that. I mean, I guess it could be a different type of flower, but I always thought these were dandelions, you know? It kind of made the most sense. I'm not too sure what type of flower it's supposed to be, but I think dandelion just makes the most sense to me. I think even when I was a kid, I always just assumed that was a dandelion. You know, we had a rose, but I always just assumed that that was a dandelion. The more you know. I learn new stuff about these older versions every day, you know. But of course, in older alpha versions and stuff before this, there wasn't any item names, you know. So nothing really had a name. Like, you knew what it was, but it didn't have, like, the actual item name like it does right now. And like I said, like, gunpowder is sulfur back then, you know. That's another weird quirk, because things were called different stuff, you know, when they first added the item names. So you kind of, it was up to interpretation. So I guess I could be right, you know. That's a dandelion. Now, with this build being completed, I do think that this is going to be all for this video. I know this video, I think, is a little bit shorter than the last couple that have come out, and I'm sorry about that. I really wanted to make a longer one, especially because I've been gone so long, to kind of make up for that lost time. But again, I've been a little busy, so I really only have a certain amount of time to record. But like I said, I don't want to do any more of the long breaks unless I absolutely have to. Unfortunately, again, in about 2 weeks' time, I am going on another vacation, this time to Florida, but this is a huge family vacation. But I will try to make up for that and have a video come out during the time I'm gone, so I won't have that big of a hiatus again. But I really do enjoy making these videos. I love playing Minecraft, I love this world, and I'm kind of happy with the progress that I've made on it. I have lots of big plans that I want to do. I definitely want to complete at some point the computer store. I think that is a build that I am most looking forward to getting done in this world. Anyways, if you guys could do me just one big favor and please like, comment, and subscribe. I hate getting into the sappy kind of YouTube script and asking for that, but it does help the channel grow a lot and it helps me kind of make more videos like this for you guys. But I would really appreciate if you guys did all of that. It would really help me grow and continue doing what I really like to do. I really do enjoy doing this as a hobby. It's kind of my favorite pastime at the moment right now. But anyways, like I said, I'm going to try to get some more videos out to you guys. No more long breaks from me. So, until then, I will see you guys next time. Take care.